Teamfight Tactics has been out on the live servers for about a week now, and today the ranked mode will be released. So before we jump into ranked, I would like to share with you my opinions on the champion tier list for Teamfight Tactics. So first we start off on the F rank here. So we have Evelynn, Fiora, Morgana, and Elise. So Evelynn, her ult is rarely gonna work, and you mainly use her for the assassin comp. She sometimes doesn't even need to be in the assassin comp because you can use the spatula to make assassins. And if you go ninja's assassins, you don't need Evelynn. So next we have Fiora. Fiora is known as one of the worst champions in Teamfight Tactics because she doesn't tank as much as Garen or Darius, and yeah, you mainly use her for nobles, for the 6 noble comp. Morgana, same thing for the 6 mage comp. You can sometimes use her for 3 mages with demons, but that's about it. And Elise, you don't use her for shapeshifters. There are better shapeshifters in the other tiers that are much better than Elise. People could compare, I compare Elise to Lycan in Dota, but Lycan is a warrior, and warriors have a lot of armor, so they have a lot more health in return, but Elise is really squishy. And she dies really easily, sometimes even without ulting. So next we have the D tier. Blitzcrank is optional. You sometimes need to pull their backline carry towards you and then kill them first, because those are probably one of the most stacked champions. But it's rarely needed if you have a really good comp. So Blitzcrank is really optional. And then there's Braum. Yes, same thing. You will need this for the Guardian Knights comp with Leona, but and also with Glacial, but he only tanks. He doesn't have any damage, so you will only need him for the Glacial comp, and so normally for the Glacial you would have Ashe and Sejuani, and rarely you would get a chance to have 4 Glacials, but if you have 4 Glacials, it will be with Anivia and if it's Anivia and Lysandra, so because those 2 are elementals, so you would really need Braum. Rek'Sai, it's just a temporary replacement for Cho'Gath as Void, if you're going Voids. Yeah, even if you have a level 2 Rek'Sai, but then you get a level 1 Cho'Gath, you will still replace your Rek'Sai with Cho'Gath, because Cho'Gath's ult is so much better than Rek'Sai. And then finally we have Akali. Now Akali is some place in between here, in between C and D, because for actually I'll just put Akali here. So for Akali, you will need her for the 4 ninja 6 assassin comp, or you can use her in place of Zed if you're going void assassins or any other type of assassin comp. Yeah, but her ult doesn't really do much damage. So in the C tier, so these champions are good. So their classes are good, and also their ult or their ults have some impact on that can change the fight. So first we have Mordekaiser. So because Mordekaiser is a phantom, and the phantom ability is really good. So basically, phantom would reduce their a random target to 100 health, and that basically eliminates them from the game. And Mordekaiser is you can get him really early on in the game, so he's okay. Next we have Anivia and Lissandra. As I explained earlier, they're elementals. So normally you wouldn't get Anivia until really late in the game, and you can either run both of them or replace Anivia with replace Lissandra with Anivia as you get as you have 3 elementals. Or if you're trying to run Glacial, you would then have the either both of these with Ash and Sejuani, or one of these with Ash, Sejuani, and Volibear. Then there's Rengar. So Rengar is a void, and it's a wild, and wilds are really good in this game. But he is also an assassin, so wild assassin is the combination is kind of interrupting. So unless you're going 4 wilds and 3 assassins, normally you wouldn't have normally you would only have 2 wilds with 6 assassins if you're going that route, but usually the void assassins is much better. So he's usually run in the 6 assassin comp. Then there's Varus. Varus is only useful in the ranger comp, but since rangers are really really good, so I put him as C tier. And his ult is like the Windrunner from Dota auto chess, but his ult can be cancelled if he dies. So if he dies, he doesn't shoot the arrow, unlike the Windrunner in Dota auto chess. So next we have Yasuo. Yasuo is kind of like a filler if you don't have any other units to put on the field, and when you reroll, you run into him, so you want to put in some champion. So yeah, So Yasuo is and Yasuo's ult is it's really good because he can CC almost every champion on their team. And Yasuo is also a Blade Master. Blade Master is one of the good comps that you can use in this game. So I'll talk about this more when we get to the B tier. So then there's Misfortune. So I put her in the C tier because she is used as for the Gunslinger bonus, or because if you just put her in just by herself without any class or race bonuses, she's not that good. Even though her ult is really good, it doesn't CC or anything, so it's not really good in the late game. Then there's Warwick. Warwick seems really good because he's a wild and a brawler, and in the early game he's really good. But normally there are better options that you can have in the early game. Or if you have him at 2-star, then you might want to replace him later on with another wild. But or if you have because even if Warwick gets to 3-star, to level 3, his ult doesn't heal him for that much, and he dies really easily without any items. Or even with items, he dies really easily too. So then there's Leona. Leona is Leona's ult is really good, and if you run Leona, you would also run Braum. And Leona is mainly run with the Nobles comp. So if you're not running Nobles, or if you lack CC, then you would run her with 2 other Nobles. For example, maybe Vayne and Garen. Those are really good champions. Then there's Shen. Shen is similar to Yasuo because he's also a Blade Master, and he's a ninja, and one ninja is usually really good in the comp. So it's like basically like the demons in Dota Auto Chess. And also Shen is a Blade Master, and Blade Master is one of the good comps in this game. So that's for the C tier. The B tier is where all the good class comps are that I have. The champions that make the comp, that makes the comp work, and also or also the champions that have really good CC or good damage. So the first 3 are Graves, Tristana, and Lucian. So these are the gunslingers. But for the 4 Gunster comp, you would need Gangplank. Gangplank is really crucial in the Gunslinger comp because he's also a Blade Master. And this is why this is why the Blade Master is really good with Gunslingers, because Gunslingers, they shoot at all enemies that are within range, and the Blade Masters make those attacks more, so make them attack even more. So essentially, it's a different type of attack speed that are put onto the Gunslingers. So if you can, so it's actually possible to get 4 Gunslingers and 6 Blade Masters with 9 champions. So, or you can get 4 Gunslingers and 6 Blade Masters with 8 champions if you have 2 Blades of the Rune Kings to make 2 of the Gunslingers into 2 additional Blade Masters. So that's the comp that so I put these Gunslingers, and Aatrox is a really good Blade Master here on a B tier, because this is a really good comp in this teamfight tactics. So next we have Ari. So we have Ari, Karsus, Lulu, and Veigar. So these are the good sorcerers. So these sorcerers would make up the sorcerers, either 6 or 3 sorcerers that you would build. And sorcerers is a good comp too in teamfight tactics. But because sorcerer has quite a lot of counters, so that's why it's only good. It's only a good comp. So yeah. So Karsus, his ult. If you have a level 2 Karsus, he ults 7 people, and 7 champions is usually their entire team, and his ult does huge amounts of damage. Lulu, her ult, if you put a Spear of Children or a Gunblade, not Gunblade, the any type, or just any type of item on her, she's would ult over and over again, and yeah, that's really good. That's a really essential sorcerer if you're going sorcerers. Veigar is the same thing. If you stack him with items, you can ult multiple times throughout the fight, and his ult would one hit any champions that has a lower star, a lower level than him. RV2. So if you stack any of these 3 champions with items, they're really good. But if you don't, they're only good in sorcerers, and And if you, well, it depends on the items too. Well, yeah, so the items, if they have items, then they're good, but if you don't have items, then they're mediocre. Same with Volibear. Volibear is really good in Glacial. Usually you would run 4 Glacials with Volibear, and Volibear's ult also procs the Glacial passive. So, but you would need Volibear to ult really quickly, so you would need items on him. Same thing with Katarina. Items needs a Tear or Seraphs to ult really quickly. Same with Shyvana. She's like the Dragon Knight in Dota Auto Chess. You would need her to ult to transform into the dragon in order to be actually useful. Cannon's is here too. Cannon and Zed are the... Cannon is an elemental, so he's one of the essential champions in the elemental comp. And Zed is a ninja assassin, so he's would really be good in the ninja assassin comp, or the assassin, or he would be the only ninja in the void assassin comp, because he's easier to get than Akali, so he's usually used as a ninja instead of Akali in the assassin comp. Then there's Nidalee and Darius. So these two are the 2 starter champions, 2 early game champions that you will get. And these 2 are one of the better ones, but Darius, it's only good if you have knights with him, like a Garen, and his ult heals him. Depends on the enemies around him, so it's really dependable on how high roll you can be. And Nidalee is a carry if you stack her with items, and she's usually the carry in wild comps. But she really needs items in order to do a lot more. So the B tier would be either the champions that really needs items, or just champions, or just class champions with classes that are good but not great. So the A tier champions. So these champions are what makes the comp work, are the carries that makes the comp work, or the what do you call it? Or the either have really good CC or have good ults that can turn the fight around. So the first one is Kassadin. Kassadin ability is he drains mana and it becomes a shield for him. So since he drains mana from enemy champions, he prevents them from ulting, and it can really turn a fight if some of these champions like Cho'Gath, Gnar, Sidrani, who else? Pike, Brand, Shyvana. Like, a lot of these champions relied on their ult, so if Kassadin is placed right before them, and you put some items on Kassadin, then he can drain their mana and then kill them before they ult. And Kassadin is really easy to get in the early game because he's only a one star champion, and he's a void sorcerer, so he's really good in the sorcerer comp with these 4 champions here, and he's really good in the void because void is usually really easy to get with Kassadin, Kha'Zix, and either Rek'Sai or Cho'Gath. So next we have Kindred and Kayle. So Kayle is one of the last champions if you are going 6 nobles. And Kindred and Kayle's ult, they both prevent damage. So if you have both of these on your team, usually if you have enough damage besides these 2 champions, you will kill them before they kill you, because they can't kill you, they can't damage you, so their champions keep on attacking so for example, if Kindred ults and then they have a Garen spinning, the Garen would not move to another champion because Kindred is immortal, is immune to damage. So Garen would keep on attacking Kindred, and that wastes Garen's damage and time. But and also Kindred can damage Garen in the process. So these 2 champions, and so Kayle is the same thing as Kindred basically. So these 2 champions are really powerful. Their ults can really change the game around. Gangplank is really good. It's an essential piece in the Gunslinger Blademaster comp. Personally, this comp is I like this comp really a lot, so that's why I put him here. Maybe he's here, but I really like the Gangplank barrel ult that kills everyone in one shot, so he's here. You would normally put items, stack him with items, and he ults really fast, so everyone would die really fast. Then there's Sidrani. Her ult is a delayed freeze. So unlike so I didn't put her in the S tier because unlike Gnar and Cho'Gath, her ult is delayed. So in the delay, sometimes your champions would die, and then even though their champions are frozen, you don't do any damage to them, so they become unfrozen and then they kill you. So that's a downside to Sidrani's ult. But because she's a glacial, and glacial is really powerful, as it's a really great comp in this game. So she's really good here. I put her at A tier. And same thing with So Ash, Glacial, Ranger is a great comp. Vayne, it's a Ranger, and Vayne is really good early game. If you get the Rage Blade on her. Yeah, Ranger is really great. Kindred, Ranger. So 4 Rangers would. So if you have 4 Rangers, you would proc your Ranger buff really frequently, and then you would attack a lot. That's how you do damage as Rangers. Then there's Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix is probably the pillar for assassin comps, and would also make the Void work with Kassadin. If you put a Spear of Shojin on Kha'Zix and a Rage Blade, then you would ult really frequently, because his ult only requires 50 mana, unlike some of these other champions that require 100, 150 mana. So Kha'Zix would ult like constantly, and then he would probably kill the backline and then proceed to kill the front line. And then finally there's Draven and Swain. These two are the Imperials. If you're going Imperials with these two, Katarina and Darius, well, then you would need all 4 of these. But if you're going Blade Masters, then Draven is one of the best carries in Blade Masters. And Shapeshifter, as Swain is a Shapeshifter, you would sometimes use Swain, but usually you would sometimes replace Swain with Nidalee. Replace Nidalee with Swain, so that so that even though you don't get the wild buff, you would get the Imperial buff with the Shapeshifters. So there would be Gnar, Swain, or Nidalee, and Shyvana. Those are the three shapeshifters. You would choose from these 4 as your 3 shapeshifters. And one more thing is that Swain's damage is a lot. Yeah, that's it. Swain's damage. His ult does a lot of damage, but it doesn't CC or anything. So that's one thing to think about if you want to put him in. Anyway, so moving on to the S tier. So these 6 champions. So these 3 champions do a lot of damage with just with 1 or 2 items, and they do damage like it's a lot of damage. So yeah, and these are like the main carries in their comp. So Dragon, Arena Soul for Dragon, Shapeshifters, that comp, Brand for the Elementals, Spirit Shogun on Brand, and the Seraphs And for Garen, really good spin to win early game champion. If you get him to even to level 2 and you put a Morelos on him, yeah, you wouldn't really lose in the early game. You would not lose in the early game at all if you have a Garen with Morelos, unless you meet another guy with Garen with Morelos that has just a better level champions than you. Then you would lose, but probably 90% of the time you will win with Garen with Morelos. And finally, these 3 champions, you would sometimes you would just put them in without any class or race buffs, just for their CC. And yeah, Cho'Gath, really large CC that knocks people up and then it stuns. So that's like a Kite Hunter in Dota Auto Chess. Gnar, same thing. He transforms and he knocks people backwards. It knocks people backwards and stuns. So same thing, but it displaces them so that your champions can get to the enemy really easier. And Pyke, Spear Children Pyke, really good. Stuns, and the stun deals a lot of damage too. Yeah, and Pyke is also an assassin. He's like he's the one to get in an assassin comp. Well, I did say that Kha'Zix is the pillar for assassins because he's a 1 cost and Pyke is a 2 cost. So if you're getting a lot of Kha'Zix in the early game, you would probably want to look for a Pyke and go with assassins. Even 3 assassins with Pyke and some of the other champions, it's really good. So this is it for the champion tier list. If you like this video, please subscribe. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.